Welcome back, everybody. Shout out to all the people who tune in to this wonderful podcast, the T1P podcast. Today's guest, man, I really, I always say I'm excited. I'm always happy to have my people on. But right now, I'm telling you, we have the state of Connecticut Middle School Principal of the Year, the National Middle Level Principal of the Year, the Norwalk AACP Leadership Award winner. I could just go on and on and on about this young man's accomplishments, but this is Dr. Damon Lewis from Norwalk, Connecticut. He is the principal of Ponus Ridge STEAM Academy, which is a middle school, and he's here. Thank you for joining us, sir. How you doing tonight?
I'm very good. Thank you for having me, Mr. Richardson. I greatly appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Listen, man, I am blessed that you would even come on and have this conversation. I know we met a few months ago, and I was just inspired by your leadership. I saw you at a event that was at Farmington High School, and just had to chat with you about some of the stuff that you do. We will get into that later, but right now we always kick off with how you got to where you got to. So that starts with your young years. Where were you born? Where did you go to school?
I was born in Bridgeport, Connecticut, Bridgeport Hospital. I went to elementary school in the town right next to Bridgeport, Stratford, right? So I went to Honey Spot Elementary School in Stratford. Then I went to Worcester Intermediate School, Worcester Junior High. Okay. And then after that, I went to high school in Bridgeport. I went to Harding High School in Bridgeport, Connecticut, where I did that obviously for 4 years.
Yep.
So I played football and basketball, and I was a good student. I didn't get straight A's. I was a good student.
Let's slow down. Let's go back to where you are now, right? So you said elementary. Do you remember elementary school? Any teacher that stood out to you in elementary?
I remember a teacher that was in elementary school named Mr. Melvin. And I remember Mr. Melvin. He was a 4th grade teacher because he was the first and only black male teacher I had. And Mr. Melvin had high expectations.
For sure.
I mean, you did not mess around in Mr. Melvin's classroom. I mean, he didn't care what was going on in your life, or he made sure that work was getting done. And he was a no nonsense, no excuses teacher. So I always remember Mr. Melvin. He's one that sticks out in my mind for numerous reasons.
You know, it's very rare at that. And I don't know how old you are, but I figure you're somewhere in my age range.
Yep.
Probably much younger, actually. But
no, I'm actually older.
Oh, you're older. Okay.
I'm actually 2 years older than you, believe it or not.
All right, we did discuss it. So back then, listen, having a black male teacher in elementary?
In elementary.
Unheard of. Yeah. So that must have been special. What about middle school? What was middle school like?
Middle school was, traditional 7th and 8th grade. I had a couple of teachers that I really, really liked because they were really into sports and they were, they made their classes fun, the lessons fun. I remember a man named Mr. Dobis. I remember an English teacher named Miss Winfield, who was really, really tough.
Okay.
I remember our principal back then in Worcester, Mr. Hames. So I had a pretty good academic foundation. I really did.
Wow. Yeah. That's pretty good, especially for middle school as well. And what about high school? Anybody stand out to you?
High school, oh gosh. High school was probably the best years of my life before I went to college. I grew up in and around Harding High School. My dad was an educator at Harding High School. My dad went to Harding High School, went to the Marines, went to college, came back right to Harding High School. My dad was my football and basketball coach for 3 years.
Whoa!
At Harding. Harding was a totally different. Harding was very, very similar to Hartford.
Mr. Richardson, I know Bridgeport.
Truly urban environment.
Yeah.
30 kids in class.
We got to slow down. We got to time out for a minute. We got to, because we went back and we said how dope it was to have a elementary teacher of color, black male. We got to talk about your pops.
Oh
What what did he do?
my goodness. What didn't he do? How much time do we have? My
Wow.
pops was a three-sport athlete when he was growing up. When he was 12 years old, he pitched in the Little League World Series in Williamsport, Virginia.
Wow.
Um, my dad was in Ebony magazine when he was 12 years old. I can
So,
send you some clips. Did an article
whoa.
on him. So he started at Central State, but then he went to the Marines. Then he started at Shaw State in North Carolina.
Okay.
Then he went to the Marines. Then he graduated from Central State, Wilberforce, Ohio. And he
Wow.
came right back to Harding and he taught history, and then he transitioned to PE, was the athletic director, and he coached.
So wow, you got to be proud of your dad for sure,
Oh,
especially
so
during
proud of
these,
him.
especially
So
during
proud
these.
of him.
So following in his footsteps, was that
Yeah,
something you wanted to do because your dad did it, or because you saw something from other teachers? It's just in your blood. How did you get? How did you? When did you know you wanted to be a teacher?
you know what? Initially when I went to UConn, Storrs, Connecticut, and I was fortunate enough to play football there. Um, Earned a football scholarship, was captain of the football team my senior year. But it was my freshman year, spring semester, that my mother would send me clippings up in the newspaper about, articles about kids that I'd gone to high school with that weren't
Mhm.
doing well. Either got jammed up in the law or got killed or were doing the wrong things.
Wow.
So Tyrone, right then and there, I decided I changed my major from business to education.
Okay.
Right then and there, I changed it from business to English education, and I ended up graduating from UConn with degrees in English and sociology. I was a double major,
Hmm.
English and sociology. Played football, and I tease people. I said, "How many black male English majors who play football do you know?" Right? So when I walk into my English classes, I was literally a 1-on-1.
Hmm.
I was a
So
one of
I knew
one.
what it was like. I feel you in college, being one of one in college, especially trying to get that degree. And where I was focusing at, I did communications and theater arts and elementary education. And so I was one of one for sure in a lot of those classes. Some of the theater arts classes, there were some people of color and we were doing some things. But in my elementary education classes, definitely one of one in a lot of
Yeah,
those. So that also pushed me to get through that, because I was like, hey, if these folks can do it, I can do it too. I got to make sure to get through that, man. But listen, you're a Jeopardy question when it comes to you and your pops about the legacy that you guys leave for Bridgeport. So um you played at UConn, played football. UConn probably wasn't, I know it wasn't a big football program back then. So you graduated and right away you started working where?
I graduated. I went just like my dad. I went right back to Harding.
Okay, yep.
I went
And
right back to Harding in Bridgeport. Right?
was he still there when you were there?
No, actually, you know what? My dad was tragically killed in 1989. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, sorry to hear.
He was actually shot. He was murdered in
Wow.
Bridgeport. So there was, I went to college in 1990 with a heavy heart.
Yeah, yeah,
Lot of stuff on my mind.
for sure.
Thank goodness I had football, and thank goodness I had God.
Yeah, yeah,
Honestly, you know what I mean.
yeah.
Um, Going back to Harding, I started, teaching English,
Okay,
right, and then I went back to school, and I received my master's in school counseling. So I
okay.
already had my master's in education. So I went back to school and I received a master's in school counseling. And I said to myself, you know what? I went to high school in a totally urban environment because Harding, similarly to Hartford and Weaver, Harding was probably 99% students of color
Hmm.
and 100% free and reduced lunch. So I went back and received my master's in school counseling. And I said, I want to try something different, right? So then I was hired in Trumbull, Connecticut, Trumbull High School as a school counselor. And I was a school counselor there for 5 years. And I absolutely loved it.
Wait, and
Like
Bridgeport let you go like that?
they did. They
Okay, okay. I'm
they
just
did.
saying.
They
When you
did.
have people sometimes, that I've experienced this, right? When you have people who grew up in a certain area in a neighborhood and they come back, especially a man of color, and they giving back to that community and the school that they were in, and then all of a sudden, boom, I'm gonna go to another district. Okay, so Trumbull pulled you.
Trumbull pulled me. But before I went to Trumbull, I also coached at Harding as well.
Yep,
For the time I was at Harding, I coached football, I coached basketball. I
nice.
stayed busy. So I went to Trumbull. I was there for 5 years. And while I was at Trumbull, I was doing my 092.
Okay.
Right. So I was completing my 092. And as soon as I received my 092, I didn't waste any time. I took an administrative job in Stratford, Connecticut at an
Mm.
alternative high school. So that was
Oh,
my
yeah.
first administrative job at an alternative high school with 55 students that had either been expelled or what have you from the traditional high school setting. And I did that for 2 years while I was also working on my doctorate.
Okay.
So after I finished that, as soon as I got my doctorate, I didn't waste any time again. And I saw some openings in Norwalk. I applied to Norwalk, and I've been at Pulitzer STEAM Academy ever since. I was 4 years as an assistant principal before I became the principal there. So this is year 15 for me in Norwalk.
You're 15, and so you've been principal there for 11, if I'm
11,
doing
yes,
my math right, and you
yes,
for AP. And
yes.
so you never taught in that building,
Nope.
but you started out as an AP there, and now you're here as a principal.
Yes, sir.
My goodness. Well, congratulations on that journey and for obviously the stuff that you're doing, the experiences you've had to lead you to this point. Because honestly, I'm talking to right now the middle school principal of the year for our country. So that's pretty dope. How does that feel?
Um, I'm honored. I'm incredibly humbled by it. When I reflect on the whole journey, Tyrone, I think about when I was first nominated as a state nominee. And
Yeah.
quite honestly, I wasn't going to do it because we talked before we came on about the work. You know, I don't I don't do it for the accolades. I don't do it for the affirmations. I do it because somebody did it for me, and I do it specific. Well, a lot of times, if you've noticed, you look at my track record. I do it for a lot of times kids from marginalized communities
Mm-hmm.
and kids and families that typically don't have a voice and
Hmm.
that are oftentimes looked over. Right. So I wanted to be that voice. I wanted to be that vessel, so to speak, to say, hey, this can be done. I've been through it. I've done it. I've gone through the fire, and so can you. Um, so it's always been in me to give back.
Yeah.
I always rely, strongly on my core values, Ty. And I'm a true believer that if you shouldn't have to tell someone your core values, they should bleed into every single part of your organization, and people know what you stand for
Yeah.
without you having to walk around with it stamped on your forehead. You know what I mean? So
Your moves, actions speak louder than words.
actions speak louder than words, right? Especially deliberate actions.
Yeah.
So I actually wasn't going to apply for it. And then I talked to my assistant principal and I said, you know what, I really don't want to do it. And he said, Damon, if you don't do it for yourself, do it for the school. Bring some light upon the school. And I came home and I talked to my wife and my family, and they said, yeah, you got to do it for the school. If you don't want to do it for yourself, do it for the school.
Yeah.
So I did it. I applied. They had to come to school. I was like there were two finalists for middle school principal of the year in Connecticut. They had to come do a school visit. They did a school visit. They met, central office staff,
Everybody.
administrators, teachers, parents, walked around the school. And that was on February 12th. And I got a call. I was driving home the next day that I won Connecticut State Middle School Principal of the Year. And
Wow.
I think I tell people, I think the older I get, Ty, the more emotional I get. I cry.
Yeah.
I,
You deserve to, and I understand too. Now, my wife don't think I cry. I tell her I cry all the time. I just
all
don't
the
cry.
time. So
But
I
you're right. The
cry.
older you get, the more emotional you get over
Yeah,
certain things, man.
yeah.
No, you
So I
deserve that cry, man. That's a good one.
so I said, if I thought it was over then. I thought it was over.
Yeah.
Okay, I won in Connecticut. Okay, it's all good. Go on back to the work, back to the work, back to the work. And then I get an email that someone from NASP is trying to get in touch with me. And quite honestly, I ignored the email like 3 times. I
Yep.
know what NASP was. I'm doing the work. I'm trying to, help kids and families, what have you. Then someone finally called me and said, our CEO's been trying to get in touch with you for the last week or so. Boom, boom, boom. So I said, I'm sorry. I've been busy. I was actually outside at bus duty. I said,
Yep.
you available for a quick Zoom tomorrow at 3:30? I said, yes. They sent me a link, and they did it under the guise tie because it was coming up for Teacher Appreciation Week.
Okay.
They said, we want to talk to principals about, how they're celebrating their teachers, X, Y, and Z. So I'm on a Zoom call and I'm telling them, teachers, they're the MVPs of the building, they're the boots on the ground. They're the ones who do all the work. Administrators, we just set up the structures so teachers can be successful within that structure, all those nice things. And the guy chimes in and says, that all sounds great, and boom, boom, boom. But we really want to call and let you know that you're one of 3 finalists for the National Principal of the Year. So, Todd, guess what I did?
Try it again.
Tried again. I cried again.
Yeah.
I cried again. So then I had to go on an interview maybe a month later. We did a Zoom interview with, about 7 or 8 people from NASP. Teachers of the Year, finalists, principal finalists from the year before. And then they had this big gala out in Seattle in July. So they fly you out, put you up in a hotel, and you don't know. I had to do a presentation out there.
Oh wow.
So I had to present to state middle school principal of the year. So they invite all the state
All
winners.
those people, and then you
Right.
wow.
They invite all 3 finalists had to present. A little PowerPoint, 10, 15 minutes, X, Y, and Z. And then you still don't know. You don't know.
To that.
So you're sitting there, it's July 9th. It was the evening gala. We had to get all dressed up. And
But they announced it then at that
at the
gathering.
gala. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you're sitting there and you still don't know. And then they say, the middle school, the 2025-26 NASP middle level principal of the year. And they said Damon Lewis. And guess what I did? I cried.
You deserve all of them
I
tears,
cried
man.
and I cried and I prayed. That's what I did.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
Man,
So-
that's big time accomplishment, man. I can't imagine something like that. All the hard work, like I said, Father, of course, looking down on you for all the hard work and the stuff that you've done, and the legacy that you're gonna leave behind. What's Ponus Ridge STEAM Academy? What is that?
Ponus Ridge STEAM Academy is a school with 650 students,
Okay.
6 through 8 middle school, 90% students of color, about 65 to 70% free and reduced lunch. And we do some pretty amazing things.
Yeah, So talk about those. Now, I do have to admit, I've seen this, right? And I'll tell my listeners, my subscribers, whoever listening. As soon as I met you, I came over after you had finished something. I said, listen, I got 2 beginning middle school principals, and what I tell you.
Yes, you did. You said, I want to come visit your school to sit down and chop it up and talk about systems and structures and things that you've put in place. Yes, you did.
And you said, yes, you can come on down. And within a month, we were down there checking out your school. So it's a STEAM Academy. What makes it so special?
You know what makes it so special? I know, because of the many offerings that we provide kids. Yes, you have the traditional art classes and the chorus classes and band and orchestra, but we ratchet up a bit because of our theme school. So we offer coding. Every grade 6 student takes a coding class. So they have that foundation, that baseline. We offer computer science. We offer robotics. We offer music technology. We offer immersive media, cybersecurity, digital products and solutions. So all these different things we offer in the middle school. And quite honestly, if we could talk frankly, we have a waiting list right now of about 40 families to get in.
Wow.
right? We have a waiting list. Now, I'll tell you, I oftentimes ask people, I say, when you hear of our demographics, when you hear a school that's 90% students of color,
Right.
approximately 70% free and reduced lunch, and I've
Hmm.
spoken to a lot of people, a lot of groups, I say, what do you automatically think? Real talk. And they
Hmm.
say, quite honestly, Dr. Lewis, we think student behaviors, high teacher turnover, fights,
Yeah.
like absenteeism,
Yep.
low parent involvement. You know what people think
Yeah.
stereotypically. That's what
Yeah.
they think. I said we've taken that and we've kind of debunked that model, right? Where there's people waiting to get into a school that is 90% students of color, which is typically I'll say not the case.
Now, is this a school where only like gifted kids can go? Like you take the
No,
high to the high?
we
How do
we
kids?
we take neighborhood, we take everybody.
Okay,
You live in a neighborhood, you can come. That
I got you.
we don't pick and choose and say, okay, you can come in. Let me look at your test scores. Oh no, you can't come in. Whatever you got, we taking you. We're taking you. And Norwalk is an open choice district, so families can choose where they want to go. And again, we've been doing that for 4 years. For the fourth year in a row, we've been the most popular middle school. And we got, like I said, we got a 40 family waiting list.
So let's talk about some of those numbers then. How are you doing when it comes to chronic absenteeism or suspensions and referrals or SBAC scores? Like, how is your school doing?
Chronic absenteeism, we dropped our chronic absenteeism 23% in 1 year. We were at 31%. We got down to 8.
Eight.
We got down to 8%. We had
That
an
helps. That
all-time
helps the
low.
school accountability report out a lot, getting down to 8%. I know
That's
that.
right. We had an all-time low of 7.7% in May
Wow.
2025, the last year. We
Yep.
finished last year at about 8.9. And you know, like I know, any time you're like 10 and below, you're like knocking out the park.
Of
That's
course.
like great.
15, 20. Give me 20% and below chronic
That's
absenteeism.
great.
You're doing well.
So our lowest was 7. We were 7.7% in May. And I attribute that to, again, the course that we offer,
Yeah.
the welcoming environment that we provide for kids and families,
Okay.
the systems and structures that we have in place.
Yep.
Our eighth graders take the PSATs when they're in eighth grade. And I highlight that because a lot of our kids, Ty, they come in below grade level standard. They do. Full
Okay.
transparency.
Yep.
But by the time they get to eighth grade, the last 2 years, our eighth grade PSAT scores outpaced the district, the state, and the nation.
So that's very big because not everybody does that. I know in
Mm,
my district we don't do that. We do it in ninth grade. We don't do it in eighth grade. So that's a
okay.
that's a that's a good move right there. I appreciate that move. What about your
Mhm.
discipline
Dis-
in your building?
Discipline, because of our course offerings
Hmm.
and what we offer and the number of kids that are involved in, they want to be in school.
Yeah.
So as a result of that, our discipline, I'm not going to say it's disappeared, but it
Right.
has reduced drastically.
Okay.
Drastically. Our
Okay.
suspension numbers have really gone down. And
So
SBAC scores can obviously always be much stronger. We
okay.
do okay, not great.
Yep.
Not great.
Yep.
We do okay. Can it be better? Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
What are some of
Um,
the things that you see in your building from typical middle schoolers that you like, man, we gotta get better at this because
mm,
middle school is hard. It's hard for our kids. We know we executive functioning for a middle schooler, influences that they have through social media, inside, outside influences. What's your biggest issue that you have in your school that you fight to overcome? Not a you don't have to be anything heavy, but
right.
what's some of
You
the
know
things you
what? You kind of hit the nail on the head. Middle school is a tough time of
got?
life for kids in terms of the hormones, uh, the friendships, the lack of friendships, the perceived bullying, the all the things that go into middle school. But I will say, because middle schools are in that middle ground, Tyrone, it's sometimes the apathetic attitude, right? The indifference. How's this going to apply to my life,
Yeah.
right? you're talking to me about middle school, Dr. Lewis, and about what I'm going to do when I get out of high school. I'm just in sixth grade. Why do I need this now? So sometimes it's that indifferent attitude. And my comeback and our staff's comeback all the time is, listen, you are in a world where 75% of the jobs are STEAM/STEM related. Okay. And the job that you may want hasn't even been created yet. Hasn't even
21.
been created yet. So it behooves you to make sure you do well in every single one of your classes, or at least give your best effort, because you don't know what job you're going to take, or how you're going to make yourself marketable.
Right.
And I
And so
always
you
use the
mentioned,
example. Yep.
yeah,
I
no, you
always,
mentioned something like you mentioned that quote, right? We're preparing students for jobs that don't exist yet. And I
yeah.
remember we read a book by Tony Wagner. I used to run a STEM school too, Batons to
Hmm.
STEM, back when I was a principal, my last stint as a principal. And that was kind of our motto as a STEM school, was to like prepare kids for all of that stuff. And some of the courses that you described, we weren't even thinking about then. And I've been to
Mm.
your school and watched these kids do certain things. I'm like, wow, this is unbelievable. And again, that wouldn't have been a thought to me 6 years ago when I was running a oh, I'm sorry, 8 years ago when I was running the school to what you're doing now. So that is really, really, really big. And kids got to appreciate that. I know the parents appreciate it.
Well, they
That's why
love
you
it.
got a waiting list.
They love it. You know what I tell the parents, now I share with them, and I use this real world example. We're in the same age bracket, but I
Yep.
tell parents, when we were younger, we go into Stop and Shop and there's 10 cashiers, 10, 12 cashiers, right? Think about it. You go to Stop and Shop now, right? There are maybe two cashiers
And 10 checkout little
and
sections
10
for you to
checkout.
check yourself
So
out.
there are kids needed to
hmm
code those machines.
hmm
So when the bananas go across that scanner, it comes up 99 cents a pound.
Yeah.
There are kids programming that. So
Wow.
those are the things that we're preparing. And I tell parents that, and it's pretty eye opening to them,
Yeah.
because now we go into a grocery store and we're just used to seeing two cashiers and
Yep.
10 self checkout.
Right.
Two cashiers, one person, one other staff member monitoring the self checkout, and the little red light goes on if there's an issue. And they come over, right? And they scan their card. So we are literally preparing kids to do those types of jobs.
Mm. How do you get your so what's your staff? That's what I wanted to ask. What's your staff attendance like compared to your student attendance in your building?
Staff attendance is really good.
Okay.
We don't have an issue with staff turnover,
Yep.
right? We lost two teachers last year and both retired. That was it. Everyone,
Mm.
everyone else came back.
Do you have any vacancies?
We don't have any. We have one vacancy right now because a teacher was offered another job in the district that would have been a bump up for them, and they
Right. Right.
accepted it. I can't get mad at them. They
Those
accepted it.
horizontals are good. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
The
They
lateral
accepted
ones
it.
I have a question about, but yeah.
Right. So right now we have one opening, and we are actively interviewing. We had an interview today actually. So that'll
What's
that'll probably be filled by the end of the day, end of the
what's the
week.
position for?
Special education teacher,
Okay,
which is
that's a hard
difficult.
to fill. Yeah,
Yes.
that's a hard to fill along with especially middle school math, middle school
Yes.
science. But if you got all those other positions done and you
Done.
have great attendance
Done.
and you are the national middle school principal of the year, what do you do? What intentional moves do you have to keep your staff to keep retainment in your building, right? They show up every day, their turnover is not very big. What are your intentional moves to keep staff members?
You know, I'm a firm believer it all starts in the interview process.
Okay.
A good interviewee is going to do the research on the school before
hmm
they come into the building.
That is
But
true.
one thing we make a point of when we're interviewing candidates, we tell them what they're getting into.
Okay.
Right? This is a school that it's a STEAM academy. We embed PBL in everything that we do. But you're also working in a school that is 90% students of color.
Okay.
It's 75% free and reduced lunch approximately. And we explain some of the external factors that sometimes come along with that. That the student may not do their homework because they had to They have to babysit.
Mm-hmm.
They have to prepare dinner for their siblings because mom is working 2 jobs, right? She's
Okay.
working 6 to 3 and coming home real quick and then going back for 4 to 10. So teachers have to understand that. And we talked about a little bit about teacher retention and what have you and low turnover. Um, I'm always looking to hire teachers of color, right?
Okay.
I'm all qualified teachers of color. But in lieu of that, Ty, I'm always looking for teachers who are culturally competent.
Yeah.
And I'll always say that you do not have to be Black or Latinx to come work for me or with me, but you have to be culturally competent. I don't care what color you are. You
Right.
have to know
Right.
and understand where our kids come from and
Now
what they
there's
represent and the baggage sometimes that they sometimes bring with them. I'm not asking, you're not going to dumb down expectations. That's
no.
not going to happen. But you have to have an understanding of culture and what kids are bringing to your school every day.
So here's the thing with that, right? I just read an article, was talking about it today, about how some of these teachers come in. Is this has been an issue for a long time. I did have a cultural competency course somewhere back in college. It wasn't the best in the world, right? But are teachers prepared to deal with students now, right? So are you finding that teachers are prepared? And if they're not, how do you help support them if they're struggling?
You know what? One of my, I'll say one of my qualities that I have. I'm really transparent, and I'm not afraid to talk about race and social class in front of staff members, regardless of their ethnicity or race. Right? I'm not, so they know what they're getting when Dr. Lewis talks. They know what's going to come out of my mouth. So there are no hidden agendas, no hidden games. Guys, this is what we deal with. These are our kids. These are our families. And quite honestly, Tyrone, I've said to some staff, if this isn't the building for you, because I care about you so much, you may have to go someplace else. I want you to be happy. And I can't have you, if you're disgruntled, standing in front of 84 to 100 kids every day
Yeah.
if you're disgruntled and you truly don't want to be there because you're doing yourself a disservice and the kids a disservice. And I'm never ever going to compromise a kid's education over an adult's feelings. Never.
But if you see somebody who you know, like you could tell in your interview process, you can tell who has presence, who doesn't, right? Or you can tell someone with great potential. This person got potential, so I'm gonna help you out. What are some of your moves to help out those people who have potential in your building? Do you partner up with another teacher? Do you let them go see somebody? Do you tell them to read a book? Like, how do you help them out?
You know, one thing we do, and I'm glad you brought that up, we do peer-to-peer observations in our building. We do interclassroom visitations. In addition to that, we also, all new teachers, the district has a mentor program, but I have an in-house mentor program where the teacher, I buddy the teacher and partner the teacher with a teacher that's been there 5 years or more. And I try to do it in the same discipline,
Okay.
right? So if I hire a new English teacher, I'm either
Yep.
going to assign my ELA coach or an ELA teacher that's been there 5 or more years. Okay. And in addition to that, bi-monthly, I meet with every first and second year teacher as a group in our back conference room. So bi-monthly, I meet just as a check-in.
I was gonna say, you listen to them, or do you have a solid agenda? Today we're
No,
talking about climate and culture.
no,
Tomorrow we're
no,
talking
no
about
agenda, just as a check-in.
okay.
In addition to that, we just finished 2 staff focus groups. So we have staff focus groups, and with our focus groups, Todd, we wanted to focus on, no pun intended, we wanted to focus on the adults in the building that don't have a title. So we didn't invite anyone that was already a member of our instructional leadership team.
Okay, got you.
We didn't invite anyone that's a grade level leader. We didn't
Got it.
invite anyone that's a subject area leader. We didn't invite anyone that we already meet with. We didn't invite any of our coaches.
Got you.
We
Yep.
invited middle of the road teachers that just come to work every day
You
and
don't have
bust
any
the hump in
leadership
the classroom.
positions right now.
No
Yep.
leadership positions in the building, no
Okay.
union stewards, nothing.
Yep.
So
And you listen to them.
we had these two focus groups. We gleaned a lot of information from those focus groups.
Nice. Nice. And you take that information and do what?
We take that information. We take we make more deliberate and intentional steps around the data and the feedback that we receive. We simply pose questions, and the admin team, we do fishbowl. The admin team and I, we sit on the outside of the bowl and we don't say anything. We pose a
Yeah,
question, throw it in the fishbowl, and
got
they
it.
chop it up. And we just sit there, all of us just take notes. Then we
Wow.
calibrate when we're done, and we start to make some changes. One thing we do, Ty, as an admin team, we meet every single day. We carve out a half an hour to 35 minutes every single day to meet.
Is
And
this
it's
during
on
school, after school, before school? When does that happen? During
after
school?
eighth grade lunch. Eighth grade lunch
Yep.
is over at 11:56. We meet from 12 o'clock to 12:30, 12:35, because sixth grade lunch begins at 12:32. So we meet every day with an agenda that we have on our shared notes on our iPhone, right? And we meet every day for 30, 35 minutes.
Now,
It's a touch point.
who's on that team? Who's on that team?
It's the admin. It's myself, my two APs, and our dean of students. So it's
Okay.
four of us.
Yep.
And we
And
eat
what
with
do you
each coach.
discuss?
Huh?
What do you discuss?
Goodness gracious. We discuss scheduling for next year. We discuss any referrals that may have come in through our PBIS system that we want to
Okay.
get to right away. We discuss any upcoming events that we want to make sure that one or two of us are always at. We
Yep.
discuss any feedback that we've given teachers, and we calibrate because
That's
we do
big.
a ton of drop-ins. We do
Yeah.
instructional tandems.
Yeah.
So we'll send two of us in the class at a time. Whatever is on the agenda, we make sure that we start it and we finish it, and we're really, really efficient with it because we don't want to waste any time. Anytime.
So I know you're transparent. You mentioned that word transparency.
Yes, sir.
And I know this to be true. And I don't know if this started before or after your award, but you have a system where you invite people into your building every week. Talk about that.
Something we call walkthrough Wednesdays. That started actually pre-COVID. So
Okay.
this was
Years ago.
way before the awards. I've
Yep.
been doing this. And
Gotcha.
I know for a fact I'm the only school in Norwalk that does it. And I
Hmm.
tell people all the time, if you either A, want to change a narrative in your building, or B, accelerate an already existing narrative, you've got to get people into the building in real time. It's really, really simple for me to invite someone into the building for a walking, talking tour from 3 to 4. The building's quiet, the kids are gone, it's going to be nice. I want people in the building when there's 650 kids, so they can see
A lot of
hallway
people don't want that. A lot of
I know
people
a
don't
lot of
want
people don't want that, but some people may be scared to do it. I'm not scared to do it. You're gonna see what you're gonna see. This is how it is. And
that.
for example,
What's your staff feel about that?
staff, they're fine
Yeah.
because we've been doing it so much, Ty.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're used
You
to it.
talk about your walkthroughs. So because sometimes, and I've seen this throughout my career, right? This is 28 plus years of this, where we still have some teachers who are nervous about other teachers coming into their room. They're okay with their administrator coming in, and even sometimes that's shaky. When you talk about other teachers, and then now you're talking about other visitors, you're talking about central office people and other people nationally, or just parents or whoever, you just bringing them into my room. That doesn't make your staff nervous anymore, right?
It doesn't. You know why? It doesn't make them nervous. It never made them nervous, Ty, because it's part of our culture. Our admin team and myself, we are always in classrooms.
Yep.
Always.
Yep.
None of us. We spend very little time in our offices.
Yeah, I've been to your office too,
You've
so
been to
I know
you
you
see
don't
my
spend
office.
much time.
It's storage space. You've seen it.
Yeah, I know you don't spend much
Boxes in,
time in there.
boxes
Yeah, out and
in.
about.
But
Yeah.
so when I tell people we're having a walk through Wednesday, which is the first Wednesday of every month, or I tell people that NASP is coming in with a videographer, UConn's coming in, it's like, oh, okay, because they're used to it. We made it part of the culture in the building, and I think it's really, really helped when our admin team goes in for an informal observation. It's not a dog and pony show because, oh, Dr. Lewis is here.
What you're
Read
always
this.
doing anyway.
We're always doing it anyway. So
Yeah.
it's not, the kids are ready for it, the teacher's ready for it. It's no big deal, really.
Now, you helped out And you were very gracious, and I appreciate it. I've told you 1,000 times. I had a couple of new admins who've only been at it for less than a year, actually, of or a little over a year, um, with their roles as principals in a middle school. Can you talk about the time that it takes to get your place where it needs to be? Because a lot of people, they want things to happen right away. There's an urgency in education. It's like, if you can't turn this place around, then you're no good. Talk about the time that it takes to get your to that it took to get your school where it needed to be.
You know what? I make running a school, facilitating a school, it's analogous to getting your first house, your first condominium, your first. It's going to take you 3 to 5 years to get your house exactly how you want it. It's going to take you some time to get your fence put up, to get the
Yeah.
stainless steel appliances, to get the marble countertop. That doesn't happen overnight. It's going to take you some time, and there's some growing pains involved with it. So I tell new principals, if it happens too fast, fast to me equals fleeting. If it's fast, it's fleeting. It's knee jerk. As quick as you do it, it can unravel in a second. So if you build capacity in the systems and structures you have, if you build capacity, that to me equates with sustainability. So if you build capacity in systems and structures, if you take the time to build capacity in other humans and human capital,
Yeah.
you're going to sustain that. It's going to be sustainable. So don't get me wrong. It took some time. It
Mm-hmm.
took some time to put these things in place. But now it's a system, it's an organization that almost runs by itself because
Nice.
of the things we have in place.
Yeah.
Right? You were at the school, we don't have any bells. I don't know another middle school that doesn't have bells,
System. Yep.
right? Because it took some time, it took some data tracking,
Yeah.
right? It took some feedback from teachers from those focus groups, right? A bell goes off here, a bell goes off there. I'm in the middle of teaching and a bell goes off. So I said, we're going to get rid of bells. So it takes some time to do that. And
Yeah.
I don't want new principals to get frustrated and say, okay, I put this in on Monday. It's not working yet on Wednesday. No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not going to work. And it may work for 3 days, and then Thursday it's going to fall apart.
Right.
Any advice I'd give to new principals, I say, you know what? Um, you've got to listen twice as much as you talk. And I said that to young
Mm.
people too.
Yeah.
We were born with 2 ears,
In one mouth.
eyes, and one mouth. You need to listen and observe twice as much as you talk. And sometimes that hole beneath our nose, our mouth, gets us in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
So just listen and observe and make changes based on what you see and what you hear, right? And I told my staff all the time that there's a response. There's a difference between a response and a reaction,
Yeah.
right? They both begin with this. They both begin with the same two letters, but they are so different, right? A reaction is knee jerk. It's emotional. It's full of energy, and the approach comes off very, very different than when you simply respond to someone, right? So I also tell new principals to not only to listen twice as much as you talk, but you've got to be truly reflective, right? One thing I do, and I do it to this day, when I get in my car to come home, and I'm about 20 minutes away, I
Okay.
drive home with my radio off. I drive home with my radio off in silence, and I try to think about, honestly, every conversation that I had that day. And I think about my body language, I think about my tone, I think about message relayed, message received, because there's
Wow.
a difference,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
As leaders, we can all think we're saying something. That's a message we relay, but is that the message that was received, right? And
Yep.
that's where we get our wires crossed, and we get miscommunication.
Yeah. Understandable. That's a good one, man. I can imagine driving home in silence. I'm always listening to something, whether it's a book or somebody got a call or the
Yep.
call there, call back. But that's very great advice. I really, really, really appreciate that. As we getting close to wrapping this up, but there's so many other questions. that I wanted to ask about. Are you teaching anywhere? Are you trying to write a book? Like, what's next? Like, once you get these accolades, right? People want to drop things and say, "Hey, I need you for this. I need you for that." Like, and I know you've been pulled in different directions, which is why I appreciate you coming on the show. What's
Absolutely.
next?
You know what? I'm in the beginnings of writing a book. Um, I'm having someone's actually doing a documentary about me and my life.
Of
so
course, that's
so
a
so
Jeopardy question.
so that's coming up. I actually just at my wife's beckoning. I've never been on social media, but I
Okay,
just honestly like 3 days ago have my first Instagram page. Believe it or not, and it's at Dr. Damon Lewis.
David Lewis. Okay, I'm gonna
first
tag you on that for sure.
first ever, first ever. So I'm excited about that. Yes, I'm in the process of writing a book. Yes, someone's doing a documentary. Yes, I've spoken at a lot of places. Less I've
Mhm.
been honored, but again, I'm incredibly humbled and blessed to be in this seat and doing what I do. I don't take anything for granted, Tyrone. Absolutely nothing. Thank the good Lord every day for what He's done for me and what He's worked in my life. Don't take anything for granted.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate you sharing all that with me. It wasn't too long that I jumped on Instagram myself. I had a
Yeah,
Facebook, but
I don't feel too bad.
put you on that. Don't feel too bad on that one. So we like to also run a top five, and our top five is could be movies or TV shows about school. I know you got your list prepared. You know you have to go from five to four to three to two and to one. I feel like
Okay.
Janet Jackson. Um, you gotta so hit me with your list. What you got for number five?
Number five, I have Dangerous Minds.
Okay, why
Number
Dangerous Minds
five
number
is
five?
Dangerous Minds. You'll notice a theme in all five
Okay,
of the movies I selected. I like Dangerous Minds because it talked about, and the story was about a young white female teacher that comes into an urban environment, and she trusted the process. She trusted her skill set. She went home every night, and her dad was a teacher, I believe, and she
okay.
talked with her dad all the time. And her dad, this is what you want to do. This is what your passion is. Don't chase money. If this is what you want to do, money
Oh, it
will
ain't the
come with it.
money. Right.
And she stayed the course. And as a result, she turned kids that people had given up on into
Giving up.
fantastic writers and
Yeah.
students.
Okay. So that's five. What you got for four?
Number four, I have Joe Clark Lean on Me.
Okay. Joe
I
Clark been
have
slipping down lately. It used to be number one a lot. Now it's Joe
Yeah,
down.
I have Joe Clark Lean on Me. I mean, who can argue with Batman? He came to
No,
the
you
school,
can't argue with Batman and
turned
Megaphone.
the school around, um, took kids who people thought were incorrigibles, right? Again, the theme is it's students that are usually marginalized from less than gracious home lives and backgrounds,
Mm-hmm.
and he believed in kids more than probably the kids believed in themselves.
Believing in folks.
Right,
That's a big
believing
theme
in
so
folks,
far.
right? Never ever giving up on kids. That's right.
All right. Number
That's
three.
right. Number three is one probably people really don't discuss a lot.
Okay.
Finding Forrester.
Finding Forrester. I have heard that one. I
Finding
didn't watch it.
Forrester,
But go ahead.
right?
Yep.
Again, that's a young man that was a student athlete, right? I relate to that. He played basketball and he
Okay.
went to this elite prep school, this boarding school, and he was smart as a whip. But again, he was judged. He was a one of one, right? And he was judged strictly on where he was from and the color of his skin. And he
Okay.
kind of defied the odds. So I
I gotta
really like
watch.
Finding Forrester.
I gotta watch that. I'm sorry I didn't watch that.
So that's
But
okay.
that's been on the list for a couple of people about two
Okay.
or three times now. All right.
Okay.
Number two.
Number two is Stand and Deliver.
Okay.
Jaime Escalante. Again, Latinx students from the barrios in LA who he taught algebra to the point where the kids surpassed state national
I was gonna say
metrics.
everybody got to pass the test.
Exactly.
Everybody got to pass the test. The state test. Coming up.
and and the kids did so well that the state had to come in because they thought he cheated.
Yeah, so do it again.
They said, "Do it again." And Jaime Escalante said the only reason you're asking my kids to do it again is because they have Hispanic and Latinx surnames. If it was at a suburban school and somewhere else in LA, you wouldn't question it. But because my kids of color did so well, you're here. So
Nice choice.
again, there's that theme. There's
Yep.
that theme of kids that are marginalized, and people think society thinks they can't do it, right? And they end up doing it. And number one is an all time classic. I don't know if this was on your list.
Okay, go ahead.
Our man, Sidney Poitier, To Sir with Love.
Oh, no.
To
Talk
Sir
to me
with
about
Love.
that.
To Sir with Love.
Yep.
Sidney Poitier was trained as an engineer,
Okay.
and he couldn't find an engineering job. So he went to teach at a school in London.
All
And
right.
he taught at a really, really tough secondary school. And he had a class full of white kids.
Who
And
probably
they
were
were they were
respectful.
white kids and
Yep.
they were marginalized.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
So again, the theme of marginalization doesn't have a color, Tyrone.
Yeah, I know.
Right? There's
Yep.
poor black and brown kids. There's poor white kids,
Mm-hmm.
and Sidney Poitier did an excellent job. His name in the movie was Mr. Thackeray, and
What's his name in the movie?
that was his name in the movie.
But To Sir with Love.
To Sir with Love.
Okay.
Okay, he was a teacher, and he was just doing it to pass time because he couldn't get an engineering job. And
Wow.
so he took this job and he taught a group of perceived incorrigibles, right? Roughneck white kids from, I want to say, the south part of London or what have you. And he exposed them to museums and culture and taught them responsibility and respect and, all those things. To Sir with Love is my number one.
Okay.
Let's see, he won an Oscar. He won
Hmm.
an Oscar. It's my
Whoa.
Oscar.
He won an Oscar for that
Did he
role?
win an Oscar?
I know he won an Oscar. I don't know if it was for that
I
role.
don't know if it was for that.
Okay. But
But
it's
that
still
is
Sidney Poitier. So
that's a
like,
really, really good movie. It's my number one.
all right, I'll have to check that out. So you gave me two that I haven't watched. One I never heard of, but I'm gonna have to check that out. Thank you for sharing that list, man. That's a great
Absolutely.
list to have. So we have come to the end of our conversation, but I just want to say, man, it's been a blessing to have you on. Norwalk Public Schools are very lucky to have you. I know our middle school kids can't wait to see you. When do you start back? Because I know
Started
this is like
today.
right to break.
Started
Oh, it
today.
starts.
Went back to a bunch of high
Yeah,
fives and
yeah,
oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's great to have you on, man. I wish you nothing but the best for the rest of the school year. We have to chop it up some more, of course, offline because we got some more visits that need to happen and whatnot.
Definitely.
And I'm always
Definitely.
going to be interested in seeing that documentary and reading that book or listening to that book because I don't read that much anymore. I listen. But thank you for coming
Thank
on.
you for having me, Tyrone. I appreciate it. I really do.
All right. So that's it. That's a wrap on this episode of the Teach One podcast. But I do have some homework for you. You got to subscribe, you got to like, you got to share with your teaching besties, and then comment on your favorite takeaways. That's your homework. Seriously, thanks for tuning in and being part of this amazing community of educators. Keep inspiring, keep growing, and remember you're teaching one student at a time and making all the difference. So see you on the next episode.